They told you to hustle harder, to chase more, to push, grind, and obsess, like that's the only way to win. But what if I told you the people who gain the most often do the least? What if the real power isn't in chasing, but in letting go? The Stoics knew this long before it became a trending topic. Marcus Aurelius didn't become unshakable by controlling the world. He became untouchable by surrendering to what he couldn't control. In a world that's constantly pulling your attention, your energy, your soul, there's one ancient truth you've forgotten. Everything flows to you when you stop chasing. This is the magic of surrender. And in the next few minutes, I'll show you how to stop living like prey and start existing like a storm. You're watching Stoic Mate, where ancient wisdom meets modern strength. And before we dive in, comment this powerful phrase, "I let go and I grow." That's your declaration. Say it loud in the comments and own it. Number 1, the paradox of control. The harder you grip something, the faster it slips through your fingers. That's not just a poetic metaphor, it's how the mind collapses under the illusion of control. Stoicism teaches us that we suffer more from our desire to dominate outcomes than from the outcomes themselves. Think about it. When you chase love, it avoids you. When you force success, it resists. When you obsess over someone's opinion, they gain power over your peace. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The paradox is brutal but freeing. The more you try to control life, the more life controls you. True Stoic strength is not in grasping, but in releasing. Control isn't gained through pressure, it's gained through presence. You don't dominate chaos by fighting it. You stand still while everything else loses its balance. That's how you rise. Comment, "I let go and I grow" below if you're beginning to understand what real power feels like. Number 2, Marcus Aurelius's philosophy of acceptance. Marcus Aurelius ruled the most powerful empire in the world, but even he knew the universe doesn't answer to your demands. It unfolds according to its nature. In Meditations, he writes, "Accept everything which happens, even if it seems disagreeable, because it leads to the health of the universe." That's not weakness. That's power, the kind that doesn't flinch. Acceptance in Stoicism doesn't mean giving up. It means aligning with nature instead of wrestling with it. When you stop resisting what is, you gain the freedom to respond with clarity instead of chaos. Here's the truth they don't teach. Resistance is the root of your misery. You're not drained because life is hard. You're drained because you're at war with it. You fight traffic, you fight time, you fight people's opinions, you even fight your own thoughts. And that endless war leaves you exhausted, reactive, broken. But what if you dropped the sword? What if, like Marcus, you said, "Let it come. I'll meet it, not with panic, but with purpose"? That's where the magic of surrender begins. When you stop clinging to how things should be, you finally see what they are. And from there, you act with strategy, not emotion. This is Stoic Mate. And if this is speaking to something deep inside you, hit like and comment, "I let go and I grow." Let's keep going deeper. Number 3, the chase is the enemy of flow. Here's the twisted truth no one tells you. Chasing is a form of fear. When you're chasing something, success, validation, someone's attention, what you're really saying is, "I don't believe I already deserve this." That insecurity bleeds out of you. People sense it. Life reacts to it. And suddenly, the very thing you want runs from you like prey fleeing a predator. You become a slave to the outcome, begging, pleasing, proving. That's not ambition. That's desperation in disguise. Dark psychology teaches us something cruel but accurate. People respect those who can walk away. The ones who don't need anything gain everything. Why? because control isn't held by the one who begs. It belongs to the one who can stay silent, patient, calm. This is the Stoic edge: stillness over struggle, posture over pursuit. You don't chase what flows. You build yourself into someone it naturally gravitates toward. The Stoics mastered this. They didn't rush after power. They embodied it. They didn't plead for peace. They became the kind of minds nothing could disturb. That's how flow begins, not with effort, but with energy. Not by chasing, but by becoming. You want things to come to you? Stop running. Let gravity do its job. Say it again in the comments. I let go and I grow, because that's the key to unlocking everything you've been clawing at. Number 4. Stillness is power. In a world that glorifies movement, noise, and constant action, stillness feels unnatural. But here's the truth. Stillness is a weapon, a psychological shield that repels manipulation, confusion, and chaos. The more reactive you are, the easier you are to control. The more silent and composed you become, the more people lean in trying to figure you out. That's power. The Stoics understood that power isn't loud, it's not desperate, it doesn't need validation, it waits, it watches, it responds only when it chooses, not when it's provoked. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." That's the game. If they can trigger you, they own you. But if you stay still, even when everything around you burns, they fear you. Stillness creates distance, and in that distance you gain clarity. You start seeing the game for what it is, people acting out of their own chaos, their own needs, their own illusions. You stop personalizing everything, you stop reacting to everything, and the moment you stop reacting, you start controlling, not them, but yourself. This is where the magic of surrender sharpens into discipline. You're not giving up, you're stepping back. You're conserving energy. You're letting fools expose themselves while you sit in silence and grow stronger. That's Stoic power. If this resonates, pause and write this in the comments. I let go and I grow. Let others see your presence without saying a word. Number 5. Detachment builds leverage. Detachment isn't indifference, it's clarity. It's seeing the game but refusing to be a pawn in it. In dark psychology, there's a principle that explains power isn't held by the one who cares more, it's held by the one who needs less. The less you cling, the more control you gain. That's the paradox. The person who can walk away always controls the room. In Stoicism, detachment is sacred. It doesn't mean you don't feel, it means you don't drown. Seneca said, "He suffers more than necessary, who suffers before it is necessary." Why? Because attachment pulls you into imaginary futures, exaggerated fears, false expectations. Detachment keeps you grounded in what's real, your reason, your response, your character. Leverage is born when you no longer chase outcomes, when you're not afraid to lose someone, when you can say no without panic, when your peace doesn't depend on anyone else's approval. People sense it. They can't manipulate you. They can't bait you. And that makes them uncomfortable. It shifts the power dynamic, silently, permanently. When you surrender your attachment to results, you reclaim your attention, your presence, your time. You become the type of person others adjust to, because you're no longer adjusting for anyone. That's real power. That's Stoicism in motion. Comment it again to solidify it. I let go and I grow. If you're practicing this mindset, you're already ahead of 99% of people. Number 6, the cost of desperation. Desperation is a silent killer. It doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers. In the overthinking, in the late-night texts you regret, in the way you stretch yourself thin for someone who wouldn't lift a finger for you. Desperation is psychological rot. And the most dangerous part, It disguises itself as ambition, as love, as effort. But listen closely. There's a thin line between desire and desperation. Desire is directed, it's grounded, it's purposeful. Desperation, on the other hand, is chaotic, it's needy, it stinks of fear, and people can smell it before you speak. Life, too, has a nose for weakness. The moment you need something too much, the universe, with all its strange irony, pulls it away from you. Not to punish you, but to remind you of a deeper truth. You must never place your peace in someone else's hands. The Stoics had no patience for desperation. They saw it for what it was, enslavement to externals. Seneca once said, "Begin at once to live and count each separate day as a separate life." Why? Because every day is a chance to be self-contained, complete, untouched by whether things go your way. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire and still reminded himself daily, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." When you internalize this, you stop clinging, you stop crawling, you stand. In the realm of dark psychology, desperation is weakness. It gives away leverage, it hands over control. When someone knows you'll do anything to keep them, they no longer respect you. They own you, and life does the same. The more you beg for outcomes, the more you broadcast your powerlessness. And power, once lost, is rarely handed back. But here's the most important truth. Desperation isn't about what you lack. It's about what you refuse to build within. You refuse to build your own validation, so you chase it from others. You refuse to build discipline, so you chase external rewards to fill the emptiness. You refuse to build peace, so you try to buy it with noise, pleasure, attention, but none of it lasts. The Stoic answer? Detach, surrender, let go. You were not born to beg. You were born to observe, to reason, to move with calm precision, not to panic in the absence of control. The moment you stop needing so much, the moment you stop chasing so hard, something wild happens. Everything you thought you had to run after starts to approach you. That's the magic of surrender. If you're truly done living under the weight of neediness, comment it now. I let go and I grow. Say it like a contract with your higher self, because the more you live by it, the less you'll ever have to chase again. Number 7. How to practice surrender. Like a Stoic. Surrender isn't passive. It's not giving up or checking out. It's the boldest psychological move you can make, choosing not to react, not to chase, and not to crumble when life doesn't go your way. The modern world tells you to fight for control, but the Stoics tell you to fight for clarity. And clarity comes from releasing, not gripping. So how do you actually practice surrender, Stoic style? Start with dichotomy of control. Epictetus made this concept immortal. Some things are up to us, and some things are not. That's your mental filter. Before reacting, ask, is this within my control? If it isn't, drop it. Don't dwell, don't analyze, don't spiral. Just cut it loose like a dead weight. The more you live by this one principle, the lighter you become. You'll stop wasting energy on outcomes, people and judgments that aren't yours to carry. Second, build internal rituals. Marcus Aurelius used daily journaling to remind himself of Stoic truths. He rewrote the same lessons, not because he forgot, but because the mind is a battlefield, and repetition builds armor. Each morning, write down what you can control, your thoughts, your responses, your focus. And each night, review where you gave in to emotion and where you stood firm. That's how you sharpen self-awareness. Third, practice strategic detachment. This doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop overvaluing what's outside of you. If someone ignores you, disappoints you, disrespects you, pause. Observe your urge to react, then do nothing. Watch what happens. That gap between stimulus and response is where Stoic power is born. You own your actions. You don't surrender your mind just because someone else lost theirs. Fourth, embrace voluntary discomfort. This is a weapon the Stoics swore by. Sleep without a pillow, take a cold shower, skip a meal. Not because you're trying to be tough, but because you're reminding yourself that peace doesn't depend on comfort. Once you learn that you can suffer and still stay calm, the world loses its power to shake you. And finally, meditate on impermanence. Everything you love, fear, or obsess over is temporary. The Stoics call this memento mori, not to depress you, but to free you. Because when you realize nothing lasts, you stop clinging to outcomes. You stop fearing loss. You move with presence, not panic. Surrender isn't a weakness, it's a recalibration of strength. It's you deciding that your power doesn't come from control, but from character. If you're ready to live this way, make the commitment below. Type it again in the comments. I let go and I grow. Let it become your code. Let it remind you of who you're becoming. Number 8. Let the world come to you. There's a shift that happens when you stop chasing and start becoming. You no longer operate from fear, and the world begins to notice. The very things you once ran after, respect, attention, opportunities, start to circle back to you. Not because you forced them, but because you evolved into someone who no longer needed them to feel whole. Here's a brutal truth from dark psychology. What runs away is desired, and what chases is ignored. It's not fair, but it's real. The more you beg, the less people value you. The more desperate your energy, the more life resists giving you what you want. The Stoics understood this long before it had a name. Marcus Aurelius didn't bend the world to his will. He aligned with nature and let outcomes unfold. His focus wasn't on chasing status, it was on refining character. And in doing so, he became a force so grounded that everything else moved around him. When you stop trying to force everything into place, you create space. And in that space, you become magnetic. You attract what you once repelled by simply standing still, calm, focused, and disciplined. This is the magic of surrender, not giving up, but letting go of need. You'll still act, but from power, not panic. Say it with me in the comments again. I let go and I grow. Because when you do, the world has no choice but to come to you. You've been taught your whole life to chase, to grip harder, to force outcomes. But look where that got you. Burnt out, anxious, addicted to progress that never truly satisfies. The Stoics knew better. They mastered the art of strategic surrender, and now so will you. This isn't weakness. This is the highest form of strength. The kind of strength that doesn't scream, it simply stands. The kind of strength that doesn't depend on validation, applause, or even being understood. When you let go of needing life to go your way, you gain the ability to move through it with absolute clarity. Surrender is not quitting, it's choosing your battles. It's walking away from things that drain you. It's letting go of what you can't control so you can double down on what you can. Your habits, your responses, your mindset. That's how Stoics become untouchable. That's how you stop being a slave to chaos and start leading your life like a calm commander. So here's your challenge from Stoic Mate. For the next 7 days, surrender your attachment to outcomes. Show up, do the work, but don't beg, don't panic, don't chase. Let the world come to you. And if you're walking this path, say it proudly one last time in the comments. I let go and I grow. Let it echo. Let others see that you're different now. If this resonated, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Stoic Mate, and turn on the bell icon, because this journey into the Stoic mind is just beginning.